Caitlin E, and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we are doing the favorite character tag. I was tagged by Ellie from Earl Grey Books. Thank you, Ellie, for thinking of me. I really loved your video, and you all should go check her out. She is a delight and one of my favorite people to interact with on a regular basis here on BookTube. But this tag was originally created by Leo from A Little Book Life. I will leave links to both of those people's channels down below. So there are 10 questions about favorite characters, and I'm going to be honest with you, some of these I really struggled with. I tried my best not to overly duplicate book series and content, but I like what I like. There are some characters that are not going to come as a single bit of surprise to you because I talk about them a lot. So let's just get into it, and you'll see for yourself soon enough. First question is a character you love fiercely. And that was a total no-brainer to me. Like, one of the things that I've mentioned in my very first video is one of the characters that I think just like defines my reading life and defines a lot of what I love in books to this day, is Alana of Trebond from the Song of the Lioness Quartet. This is my childhood copy. I brought these home recently, probably within like the last year. But honestly, this book has been reprinted multiple times, and this is my favorite edition that is no longer in print. Like, I just really like the art style of these. So if I have to like library tape this, I will, because this is it for me. She's the reason I love tropes like gender disguise. She's the reason I love tropes like schools. So in this series, Alana disguises herself as her twin brother to go be a knight in the Kingdom of Tortle. And you may not be a knight if you are a woman, so she disguises herself as a boy and goes through like this entire training process, and the whole series follows her from when she's like a preteen into her young adulthood, into her like late teens, early 20s, and so you really get like the whole journey. And she's one of my favorite characters of all time. I love her fiercely because she is strong and grumpy and learns to be soft and has this magic that she doesn't want or know what to do with, but has to come to terms with. I'm gonna over talk about this, I'm sorry. But when a couple of years ago, I went to Y'all West, where Tamora Pierce was doing a book signing, and when I met that woman, I just started crying, which I'm sure was great and a little scary for her. But I just started crying because I just thanked her so profusely for writing these books. And like, so much of how I think of my own personal moral code and everything comes from like some of the things that are laid down in this book. Like, this is my favorite character. Yeah, Alana of Trebond. I have to move on, otherwise I will spend the entire video talking about Alana, but just, hit me up if you're also a fan. We'll talk about it forever. Number two, a character that is heavily flawed, but you can't help but love. So this is another one of my favorite series characters of all time, and that is Anita Blake from the Anita Blake Vampire Hunter series by Laurel K. Hamilton. And I also have, these are my original copies that I squirreled away from home not too long ago. And this series is still ongoing. I actually need to do a reread so I can catch up and get the newer books, but this series is still trucking. It's like 20 books at this point. Anita Blake is a necromancer, and set in this world, set in St. Louis, where I am from, so that was always part of my attraction to her and like why I cared about her, because from the same place she solves crimes in the place where I'm from. It's cool. Not a lot of things are set in St. Louis. She's also a consultant for like a paranormal crimes division, and gets involved with the master of the city, the master vampire of the city, as well as a bunch of other characters. She is a polyamorous character, not too far into the series. She struggles with it for like 4 or 5 books. But honestly, that's part of what I think makes Anita Blake an interesting and heavily flawed character. She talks about her relationship with Catholicism and how she reconciles her violent life, her necromancy, her like natural gift for necromancy with her Catholicism. She also really struggles to, when she gets into the polyamorous part of the series, she really struggles to reconcile like having multiple romantic partners, not just sexually, but intimately in the sense of like actual care and romance, and it really messes with her head. And even like 15 books into the series, she's still got hang-ups on this, and it like causes her to do some really dumb shit to the people that she cares about and to herself. And she also, I think, struggles sometimes with her attraction with women, which is something that I find relatable as somebody who has like really struggled with their bisexual identity for a very long time. But so she's flawed, and honestly the series itself is flawed too. Like, I'm not trying to raise this up as like some perfect series. There have been some justifiable criticisms of the series about not having good representation in terms of diversity, and also in terms of the fact that like Anita has this like bevy of men but can't manage to successfully be with a woman. Like, there's like some criticisms of various weight that I think are very valid, but this to me is a series that I just can't help but love, and Anita is a heavily flawed character that I just really care about and really adore, and so I'm glad to mention this overall. Number 3, a character that has made you laugh out loud. And I'm sure there are many characters over the years that have made me laugh out loud. I'm literally thinking of the one that has most recently made me do it, and that is Finnegan Hayes, or Finn Hayes, from How to Vex a Vampire and How to Elude a Vampire by Alice Winters. So these are romances that are, you know, vampire and detective themed. So Finn is a mortal cop who joins the vampire related crimes unit, and he falls fast and hard for his ancient vampire partner, Marcus, it's a total Grump and Sunshine trope romance novel, but Finn is freaking hilarious. Like, the banter is off the charts. It's very unrealistic. I don't care. It's funny. It's cute. And I laugh so hard when he teases Marcus or says like these absolutely nuts things that would not work at all in real life, but it's so charming and fun, and he makes me laugh. And he's just probably one of my new favorite characters. So I'm gonna put Finn out there as the character who makes me laugh. This one I kind of struggled with. Number 4, a child character you really like. And I don't dislike child characters, for the record. I just don't think about them. I just don't think I read that many. And so I thought about like Lyra from The Golden Compass. I thought about like some of the middle grade I've read like 1 or 2 middle grades, and that's just not a genre I read a ton of. But it finally dawned on me that I think my actual favorite child character is Kitty from To All the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han. So I love the little sister Kitty probably more than I actually like Laura Jean. Which, don't get me wrong, I like Laura Jean just fine, but Kitty is the best and the worst wrapped into one. Like, she's precocious, she's nosy, she's troublesome and meddlesome, and I love her for it. Like, she just has hard third child energy, you know, like she just she's really funny, and the fact that she is the catalyst for a lot of the good and the love that happens in these books. Like, she sends Laura Jean's letters out. Sorry, that was a big ass spoiler. She's also the one in like book 2 that really is trying to get her dad to find somebody, you know, like I like Kitty as a child character. And you know, honestly, I've been recommending this book to y'all a lot, and I thought I wasn't that invested in the series, but I may have to reevaluate that based on how frequently I recommend it. So we'll see. But yeah, Kitty's my favorite child character. Number 5, an animal character that you love. I tried really hard not to just put like 3 characters on this whole dang thing and call it a day. But this is the only time I will be duplicating a series for you. And that is because I can't think of anything else but Faithful from the Song of the Lioness series. And that is the black cat that you can hopefully see. Again, I love this art. This art is so good. But again, Tamora Pierce, Song of the Lioness Quartet, like best thing. Faithful shows up in book 2 and he is a talking cat. Again, when I tell you that this series gave me some of my favorite tropes of all time, please don't misunderstand me. Literally the best. So he's a black cat that talks, and for the most part, Alana's one of the only people that can hear him, but then in like the later books, other people can kind of hear him too. He's magic. He talks to Alana. He keeps an eye out for Alana. They have matching purple eyes, you know, because it's important to match your cat. The whole reason that I fall for characters like Mr. Kindly in Nevernight is because of Faithful. Like, this is the OG animal character that I care about. I can't say enough. So number 6, a strong woman that you like. So I feel like this character could have slotted into a lot of different answers, and it shouldn't come as a surprise to any of you who know that I will take any opportunity to talk about this book, and that is Evelyn Hugo from The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love this book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So sorry that you're always going to have to hear me screech about this, but I love Evelyn Hugo. I really love the way that Taylor Jenkins Reid portrays stardom in like the 50s, 60s, and onward. I spent a lot of my academic career studying American films and American film history, and like the way that Evelyn Hugo navigates that crumbling star system in the studio system, in the studio era, and continues to persevere and push through and find scraps of happiness for herself. She is not a perfect character. She is not a wholly likable character, but I love her, and I cannot think of her as anything else but strong, given what she does and how she goes about it. She's certainly strong-willed, and I love Evelyn Hugo. I love this book. I'm not going to belabor the point. Just know she's one of my favorite characters of all time, and I thought about her for multiple answers. Number 7, a brave character that you admire. So again, could have probably put a lot of things here, but then I thought about one of my recent favorite reads, or one of my big reads from this year, and thinking about how bravery sometimes doesn't always look like a fantasy character, you know, and I chose Mexican Gothic, Sylvia Moreno Garcia. So Noemi is the main character of this, and she's so brave. She's gonna go to a very creepy house in the middle of frickin' nowhere to go save her cousin, or to go check on her cousin. And then when faced with continuing creepy nonsense, including like eugenics and intense racial tensions, she's sticking by her cousin. She is going to figure out what's going on. She's going to face it head on. She's a very, very brave woman. And I like her all the more for the fact that she does it in like gowns and sweater sets amongst like the 50s glamour that I've always just like really admired. So I don't know, she's just like a really brave, stalwart character who, again, flawed, and I love her all the more for the flaws, but I just like that we can get a brave character, a strong character who's also like a glam girl, because like a lot of the other people that I would reach for this are like typical strong, you know, like I'm a strong woman, you know, like I eschew femininity, I'm not like other girls, you know, like that. But I like that Noemi is like other girls, and she still kicks ass. So there we go. Number 8, a character that scares the hell out of you. Like I have mentioned in other videos, I am a chicken. So I actually deeply avoid books that could scare me. Like, I don't want that. So this was hard. This was actually very hard to come up with something. When I thought about it, about the things that have actually like scared me or disturbed me, I actually think the character of Mr. Harvey from The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold is a great example of a character that scares the hell out of me. Spoilers abound for this, but if you have, like, this is a book that's been around for a while and I haven't read it in a long time, but this was one of my favorites for years and years because it's a very difficult and strange book in its conception. You are in the perspective of Susie Salmon, who is a young woman when she gets raped and murdered. But you follow her as she watches over her family, as she creeps on the guy who killed her and tries to make sure that he doesn't do it again, or like tries to warn people about him. And it's so interesting as a premise, but Mr. Harvey is her like next door neighbor who kills her, who like throws her in a like pit in a cornfield. So disturbing. And Mr. Harvey, so obviously, hi, trigger warnings, I'm so sorry. Trigger warnings for assault, rape, torture, like trauma. It's a lot. Why did I read this in the 8th grade? I read this in the 8th grade. No wonder my teachers were worried about me. Good God. So anyway, Mr. Harvey is like that real scary person that like my family was always so adamant about warning us kids about, it just that the real monsters, I think, are some of the scariest to me. Like the real depictions of real monsters are the people who harm others for pleasure or for fun or for profit. Those are the people that scare me the most in this world. Even though I read a lot of fantasy with big sweeping, like literal monster characters or very bad guys, like the real monsters are the big scary ones for me. Number 9, a really mean character. And again, this is one that I thought of something that I've read recently. So I don't know if it's like my favorite character, but it's definitely one that popped up as a really mean character. And that is Karis Viturius, or aka the Commandant from the Ember and the Ashes series, or an Ember and the Ashes series. She's awful. She could definitely count for somebody that scares me as well. She like disfigures her servants, her slaves. Like, first of all, she has slaves, so ew. But she dismembers them or disfigures them so that they're not too pretty, or she beats the living daylights out of them. She hates her own child with a fiery passion, tries to kill her own child, has killed many, many people. She's an awful person. So she's not really just mean, she's just like actually evil. Like, deeply. She's befuddled by the one maternal moment she's had in her life. That's how mean and evil she is. But I feel like that's very valid for picking that character, and she's the first one that came to mind when I saw this tag, so... Okay, and we're just gonna end on a low note. Number 10, a character that you really hate. It has been a very long time, but I still passionately hate this character, and it's a reason. Oh, look, I don't know if it's going to come as a shock to any of you. When I was in school, I was always that like goody two-shoes, had my hand up, read everything, did all the homework, thought homework was the greatest thing that's ever happened. It's why I've gone in for 3 degrees team. This is one of the only books that I looked my professor dead in the eye and was like, I'm not finishing this. You can dock my grade if you want. For a little type A kiddo whose grades were everything, I was like, I don't care. Rabbit from Rabbit Run by John Updike. This is like this in literature departments. John Updike and Rabbit Run are like something that they often foist on their students, is such a misogynist, such a terrible person. And you're not supposed to like him. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm aware that you're not supposed to like him. It really just burned my biscuit that, like, I had to read a book about this subpar yet deeply entitled white dude who was crap to his family, who used other people, had like literally no value. I got like 50 pages into that book and realized, like, I don't care. I don't care where this arc is going. It's a bad person. I don't want to be a part of this. And if I'm being blunt, part of why I hate this character and everything he represents is that I've known way too many people like that character in real life, and it's suffocating. It's suffocating how much people like that are lauded and get away with just nonsensical amounts of stuff. So yeah, again, the people that piss me off the most in books are like the accurate representations of just god-awful people that exist in real life. I hate him. I hate that that's a piece of classic literature that is valued and taught. No, I don't care what arc he goes through. I really don't. Not of value. No. Like, literally, haven't looked at that book or touched that book since I was like 19 years old, and it still crawls under my skin and just makes me so mad. Okay, so thank you for coming to my rant talk. It's not even a TED talk, it's a rant talk. We're not gonna be dishonest about that. But this was a really fun tag. I do want to tag some folks in return. I am going to tag Kaylani from Kaylani Simply Me. I'm going to tag Donna Sundoku. Donna, please call me out if I am saying your last name wrong. I'm very sorry if I am. And I'm going to tag Tish from Little Wolf. Tish, I do not know if you've already done this tag. If you have, I'm sorry. I just love your content. All three of those folks are people that I love and adore in the booktube space. So hopefully you will go check them out, even if they don't do this tag. But I will link them down below in the hopes that they do. So yeah, thank you for spending the time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of me or this channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!